What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Millie Maker Roundtable, Week 9 in the NFL. Can't believe we're already here. I'm DraftCHEAT, of course, and joined today by the usual Roundtable, Week 9 in the NFL.
Whoops.
All right, okay. Technical difficulties, but I think we got it figured out. We got the starting out, which I got to monitor today, guys, because we're giving out some free tickets to members, to non-members. Going to be a fun show on Saturday night. So once again, talking all things NFL Week 9. Let's go to you, Locks. How you doing over there?
Doing okay, man. Doing okay. Just got back from work, ready to dive in with you guys. Excited for another week. Got some interesting spots. Last week didn't go the greatest, but hey, we turned it around the next week, right? So a lot of interesting games, a lot of fun plays. So we'll see how it goes and ready to dive in.
Absolutely. Snyder, how you doing over there?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Off a pretty good week. Looking to dive in and see how much the chalk smashes this week as it has the last couple of weeks. So that'd be interesting to dive into.
Yeah, and my boomer asked the reason for the audio difficulties there. I did have the YouTube show up, like I said. We are going to be giving out multiple free tickets, 3 $150 tickets courtesy of our man and new coordinator in the RPS chat. Congratulations on the big win and the new job. Nadesify giving out 3 150 power sweep tickets. One of those will go to a YouTube commenter, whoever can make me laugh or whatever it is over in the YouTube comments, and then 2 to members. Those will be chosen from the live show chat. So we'll give those out. And we've also got 2 additional $50 single entry tickets from our man, Stephen Coy, I believe it is. So we'll pick those out in the live show chat as well. So if you are a member and watching, if you can, pull up the live show chat, make us laugh, post something funny, roast us, whatever it is, and we will pick those out during the show. So 5 total tickets, 3 $150, 2 $50 tickets. Should be a lot of fun. And with that, guys, let's jump into the games. We'll be talking DraftKings, FanDuel, Millie Maker strategy plays, all that good stuff. We'll go game by game as we always do with the DraftKings order of games. If you're following along at home, just pull up any contest, and that's the order we will go in. All right, 10-game slate. Let's get to it. First game, DraftKings has listed Buffalo Bills, New York Jets. No surprise here, Locks. Big favorites are the Bills, even going on the road. 11-point favorites, 46 total here. Bills pretty much fully healthy. They obviously acquired Nyheim Hines at the trade deadline. I do expect him to work in, obviously, as the pass down back. We'll see a bunch of teams with kind of new players. We'll see, I think there'll be differing just how much they play. We'll see on Nyheim Hines, but obviously Buffalo expected to be leading in this game. I don't think he's in play, but could potentially cut into some of Singletary's work. The Jets have been in flux, obviously, missing Corey Davis here. And then they've also kind of benched Elijah Moore. So this team has been in flux, and I'll come right out and say we've obviously been on the Josh Allen train. I think he's a good play this week. But, man, this Buffalo defense, I know they're expensive, but this looks like a ridiculously good spot to me against the turnover-prone, sack-prone Zach Wilson. He holds the ball longer than anybody. You see him get in trouble. He scrambles straight backwards against a dangerous defense. Might be one of the few weeks I'm willing to pay up for defense, Locks. Your thoughts on Buffalo and the Jets here?
Yeah, kind of an interesting game. Can go a lot of different ways. So interested to see how this goes. I don't think Hines cuts into Singletary a whole lot, especially not in this first week. Maybe a little bit just in the passing game, but they seem to like Singletary. I don't. I'm basically just going to be, if I'm playing this game, I'm going to be with Allen, Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Dawson Knox. Those are my 4 guys on that side. Same 4 guys I'm normally with on them most weeks. I do like the defense call. Jets offense hasn't looked really horrible, so I don't know if I'll play Buffalo defense and pay up that much, because there is some spend downs and a lot of other spots I want to pay up for. So I think I'll be spending down at defense, so I won't be with you on the Bills defense too much this week.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, Garrett Wilson, they said they wanted to get him more involved, and he got more involved. We saw it last week, so I think he's a decent play at 4.8. Conklin's interesting at 3.2. I mean, how can you ignore a guy that catches 6 for 79 and 2 TDs at a 3.2 price tag? So definitely interesting there for some value at tight end. Other than that, not much interest on that side of the ball. That's kind of my thoughts on this game.
Yeah, tight end this week is rough, right? Mark Andrews not going to play, but he's not on the slate. Travis Kelce playing Sunday night. That's not an option. So there's what's the most expensive tight end? I think Zach Ertz sitting there at 5,100. So a guy like Conklin, who got 10 targets last week, could be involved. And I do think, normally I don't want to play a player against my defense, Snyder, but if this game goes like I think it's going to go, where Josh Allen's pouring on points early like he does against pretty much everybody, the Jets fall behind, maybe the Bills defense scores, 21-0 at the half, something like that, you could see a lot of garbage time potential production from a guy like Conklin. I think Garrett Wilson coming off a big game. And I'll throw in a little dart here that I'll have some exposure to tomorrow is Denzel Mims. Looks like he's going to take over that number 2 wide receiver role with Corey Davis out and Elijah Moore seemingly mostly riding the pine. A lot of good things out of Coach Robert Saleh's, just good quotes saying Mims is kind of taking his opportunity. A super talented guy, former second-round pick, explosive athlete, had a big play last week. $3,100 on DraftKings. He played 75% of snaps. I think that could potentially even go up this week. And I don't know. I mean, I could see some second half garbage time here for the Jets wide receivers or maybe the tight end. So kind of an interesting game here. What are your thoughts on Josh Allen in general, Snyder? And then any thoughts on the Jets guys as well?
Yeah, I definitely think Josh Allen's projecting as the highest projected raw points guy definitely in the slate. His props are unreal this week too. I think his props are 323 for rushing and passing this week. Definitely nothing you can say wrong about Josh. I think he's going to be one of the cash game guys, depending on if you spend up or spend down in cash games this week. So I think he's going to be fairly highly owned. Like I could see him being like 15 to 18% owned, which is pretty high for a quarterback. So definitely don't have anything to say wrong about him. I kind of like Singletary for the Bills, though. I think he's going to come in like right around 5% or lower. Good leverage off of the Allen passing attack. And this is a big spread here. I expect the Bills to get up big here. And maybe we can see Singletary here in the second half just kind of get the majority of the bulk of the workload here. And I'm not too worried about Nyheim Hines coming in just yet in this first week. So yeah. I'm fine playing some Singletary at like 5% owned in tournaments this week. So I think it's a good script for him and the pivot off of Allen and Diggs. I mean, Diggs is absolutely good this week too as well. I mean, nothing you can say wrong about him. Price tag is getting up there a little bit. I mean, it's expensive to play the Allen Diggs stack, and we don't have as much value this week. So I'm not sure I will get to that stack this week. Looking at the Jets, definitely like some Garrett Wilson. 4,800 is a good price tag. He saw the most snaps that he's seen as to date yet this season. And another dart throw, I like the Mims call there. Another dart throw I like for tournaments is Michael Carter at 5.5K at running back. I think he'll be like 1 to 2% owned this week. He had 7 targets last week, and if they're trailing big in the second half, I could see him catching 6, 7, 8 passes, dump downs there in the second half. Kind of a thin play, but I think it's interesting for large field tournaments.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get to Allen this week. I've been on him most weeks this year when he's been on the main slate. Just so expensive. I think there are several good, cheaper running backs. And I don't know. I am worried about the Jets' ability to keep pace. I do think the Bills' defense is going to do some serious work. But I don't know, Locks. Like we've seen Josh Allen, he gets into the second half and he keeps throwing the ball. Even in the last, he was on primetime and he threw like a couple red zone interceptions. But they were still like trying to pile it on late into the game. Kind of think they want to dominate MVP. Did you give your opinion on Locks, on Josh Allen Locks? I'm not sure.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to find it hard to spend up a whole lot this week. I'm going to have him in my pool. Obviously, my 150, I can never fade that guy. I mean, his upside is just unbelievable. So I could see him busting the slate here easily. There's too many spots. I think I want to pay up at wide receiver this week is where I'm kind of looking. So I may not get to as much Josh Allen as I want to, but yeah, definitely a high play.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to the next game on the slate. It is listed here. DraftKings has the second game on the slate, Indianapolis and New England. Really low total in this one. No surprise between these two teams. It is the Patriots 5.5 home favorites, a 40 total. News and notes from this one. Big thing from Indianapolis is, kind of have a lot of change here. Jonathan Taylor already ruled out. They obviously traded Nyheim Hines. We're going to see Deion Jackson, I assume, kind of get the bulk, if not almost all of the work. They did trade for Zach Moss, but we're not even sure if he's going to play. They've got Philip Lindsay, I think, is the backup. And Locks, will stick with you. The one start we saw Deion Jackson in this situation before with Hines and Taylor out. What did he catch? 10 passes. I think he got in the box, had a huge game. Very cheap on FanDuel at $5K. I think he's one of the better plays over there. Tough matchup, I think, against New England, but still, if you're going to get all the work, you're cheap. Deion Jackson has to be in play on both sides. That game, I will note, did come with Matt Ryan at the helm, who I think is a much better spot for Deion Jackson in terms of catching passes. I'm just not sure Sam Ehlinger is going to operate in the same way. Ehlinger kind of likes to take off and scramble on his own. I don't think he has quite the command of the offense that Matt Ryan had. So a little bit worried about Jackson's reception total from that perspective, but I still think he'll get 3, 4, 5 catches, probably 15 plus carries, I think is fair for Deion Jackson. So he's in play. I don't know about the rest of the Colts wide receivers. I was on the Ehlinger train last week. That one got derailed early. I don't know if you watched the game. I actually thought he played pretty well in the second half. He could have had a much better game. Kind of got a little bit unlucky. Obviously, didn't get it done with 8 fantasy points, but I do think he'll be okay here. I'm not going there, I don't think, at 5K, but Deion Jackson's got to be in play. I don't mind a guy like Pittman. He's cheap on FanDuel. And then New England, just really 2 guys for me, right? Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is a good play. And then you got to like Jacoby Myers. I mean, he's just a PPR machine. So those 2 guys are interesting. Talk about anyone else and those guys in this game. Locks.
Yeah, there's not much to really add to that. I mean, with the price jack of $1,000 from 4 to 5K on Sam Ehlinger, I definitely would be fully off of him, I think. I mean, I don't know how he goes up after that performance, but I guess because he's the for sure starter now. I won't be playing any of him this week, even though he's 5K. The only guys I'll be playing on that side are probably Deion Jackson and maybe sprinkle in a little bit of Michael Pittman. I'm not going to be on the wideouts very much. With Pittman's athletic ability and everything else, it's hard to get away from the guy. So possibly him, but I have no interest other than Deion Jackson there. Like you said, he was a target machine. He'll get 15 to 20 touches possibly in this game. So definitely an interesting spot. And he's going to be way lower owned than the guy on the other side of the ball that's $1,000 more than him. So I definitely like that call of Deion Jackson. On the other side of things, only 2 interest me as well. I'm there with you. Stevenson, Jacoby Myers. Tyquan Thornton kind of interested me the other week, but then he kind of went unheard of the following week with 1 catch. So I might sprinkle in a little him at 3-3, possibly just because he's a second guy. Mac Jones can sling the ball, but I think this is just going to be running back city in this game. And I don't really have that much interest in it. There's way too many other spots that I have interest in.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Snyder? Ramondre Stevenson, I'm seeing him projected to come in as one of the higher owned running backs. Hard to argue with it, but we did see Harris kind of cut into those running back. Damian Harris cut into the running back snaps, not necessarily the production last week. Ramondre, though, just looks like a beast out there. He doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. So he is going to be highly owned, but still pretty cheap. I don't know why his price hasn't come up $6,200. You got to like him. Thoughts on him, Jacoby Myers, and then Deion Jackson, and anything else you see in this game, Snyder?
Yeah, for sure. I think it sounds like Damian Harris might even be out this week as well. Yeah. I think he's got the flu or something. So if he's out, I mean, definitely, I think we see Rahamador as the highest owned running back, maybe the highest owned player on the slate as well. It just sets up very well for him. His props are like some of the best you'll see too. 104.5 is his rushing and receiving props heading into tomorrow. So that's huge right there. And the price tag is too cheap. It's just one of those chalk running back spots again that we have to make a decision on whether we want to play him in tournaments or not. He's definitely a cash lock, I think, for this weekend slate. So not sure what I'm going to quite do with him in tournaments yet. I haven't really been playing him like too much in tournaments. Like I've played him in cash a couple of those weeks where he saw the increased workload and such, but he's been right there scoring 20 plus points in 4 straight games. Hasn't really shown the ceiling to exceed like the 25, 30 point deal there, but definitely we'll have some Stevenson going through the receivers. I think I can go right back to Thornton though. The $3,300 price tag is cheap. I mean, we're searching for value on this slate too. Did play 61 of 78 snaps last week, so I mean that's something maybe to hold your head on there. Definitely, I'm gonna be on some Deion Jackson this week too, especially on FanDuel. I don't think his ownership is really getting up there either. I think he's gonna be under 15%.
Yeah, SNYDER, we were laughing. We got an early contender in chat because what did you call Ramondre Stevenson? Like Ramador?
I don't know. I kind of butcher his name every time. Rahamador, or I don't even know what the hell I called him. Ramondre. I don't know if I called him Ramondre or Rahamador or what the hell I was calling him.
Those were Rahamador, I think.
Sounds like a horseman in Lord of the Rings or something.
JT Hayes gave me the pronunciation earlier, so I was trying to fulfill it.
Yeah, all right. Well, we got an early contender for a ticket in chat. One of
Love
one.
to see it.
I enjoyed that. Someone needed to say it. And we're of course monitoring the chat and the YouTube for the free tickets. So keep up the good stuff. Lots of funny stuff going on. People insulting my Chiefs hat, saying I need a new Chiefs hat. Yeah, it's probably true. Start the GoFundMe, Steve Gretjack. We need the funds for the Chiefs hat over here. So that's Indianapolis, New England. We will keep it moving to what I think is a better game. Minnesota Vikings, Washington Commanders. Vikings 3-point favorites. 6-1 Vikings, by the way, going on the road here to Washington, D.C. I see you shaking your head, Locks. You don't believe in the 6-1 Vikings. I don't know if that's what it was for. But they are favorites here, 3-point favorites. Usual suspects for the Vikings, right? I mean, they did trade for T.J. Hawkinson. I wouldn't go there this week. I don't know how involved he'll be. But, of course, we've got Justin Jefferson in play each and every week. Kirk Cousins, I guess, is a little bit interesting, but I do question the upside a little bit. And then Dalvin Cook, of course. Really, Jefferson and Cook, the two guys I'm looking at. Washington, I mean, we talked about it when Taylor Heineke took over. He likes Terry McLaurin. Carson Wentz didn't. We've seen back-to-back 8-target weeks. Last week, caught 6 of them for 113 yards. The week before that, caught 5 for 73 and got in the box for the touchdown. And 43.5. I think this one could potentially go over the total. And I like Taylor Heineke a little bit. He's a decent fantasy option, I think. And then further notes, I think a sneaky running back. I don't know, I guess how sneaky, but looks like J.D. McKissic is ruled out. He was kind of the passing down specialist for the Commanders. Now they're down to Gibson and Brian Robinson. Robinson, obviously, great story back from the shooting where he missed, the first 5 or 6 weeks, but really has not run well. What is he under? He's like 3 yards a carry on the year. Hasn't been involved in the passing game. Gibson, meanwhile, explosive athlete, was kind of in the coach's doghouse to start the year with the fumbling issues, but I don't think he's had fumbling issues. I think he's going to be the lead back here. I think he's going to be, more importantly, I believe, the passing down back here. What did he get? 7 catches last week, and that was with McKissic in the game. Potentially, Locks, if the Commanders fall behind, we get a shootout, we could see a big workload for Antonio Gibson in a pretty decent matchup here. So McLaurin, Gibson, I think, are two very interesting options. I like this game quite a bit.
Yeah, this is one of the games I'm going to be targeting quite a bit. And definitely a great point. I mean, what's crazy is last year, Gibson was the running back, right? And then we had J.D. McKissic out of the backfield. Now all of a sudden Gibson's catching all the passes. So kind of interesting. I like that call for sure because Brian Robinson really hasn't done a whole lot on the ground. So I could see that too. And who knows? He might get owned, but I don't know. It's tough to call. Right now I'm seeing him, is that right? 15%?
Yeah.
For Gibson?
I didn't expect that high, but yeah, that could be right.
Yeah, if that's that high, I'll probably be off of him.
I'm not seeing him quite that high.
Yeah,
him right around 8 to 10%, maybe.
8 to 10. Okay, if he's 8 to 10, I'll probably get him. If he's any higher than that, I'll probably be off of it. But Terry McLaurin is definitely one of my favorite plays this week. I love Heineke. I love McLaurin. When Heineke took over, I was happy because McLaurin's been a guy that I've been high on all year, and we know he likes throwing to him, as we've seen the last couple of weeks with the 8 targets apiece. So I'm definitely fine going back there because on the other side of the ball, I see a huge game out of the Vikings again. I was shaking my head because I'm a Packers fan, and I don't like seeing the Vikings at 6-1. But they look good this year. Jefferson's a beast. I'm going to have a lot of probably Kirk Cousins with Jefferson. I do like Hawkinson this week. I know it's his first game with the team, but he's a solid tight end. Kirk Cousins loves his tight ends. So I think in the red zone, he's going to be a big target. I think he scores this week possibly. So I wouldn't mind throwing Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, run it back with a little McLaurin. I absolutely love that stack. You could even go the opposite way, throw Heineke with McLaurin and run it back with Justin Jefferson. So a lot of different ways you can go about this. I'm pretty much off the running backs. Don't have much interest in either one on this side. So I'll probably be in the couple stacks that I said, and that's about it.
Yeah, makes sense. Obviously good options here, McLaurin, Jefferson. You can even, that can be your kind of mini stack, non-QB stack, right? You go somewhere else with your main stack and you include the Jefferson, McLaurin correlation. I think that makes a lot of sense. Or Jefferson, Antonio Gibson, I think makes a lot of sense too. Snyder, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little different than Locks here, I think. This game opened at 44.5, and it's since dropped a point down to 43.5, and the spread as well as came from 3.5 to down to 3. So I kind of see this being kind of a slower game maybe. I actually like Washington in this game to actually get the win here. So I'm kind of off of this for the most part. I think Jefferson's still fine. He's one of the best receivers in the league. He can always break a slate. So he's something to consider there. Curtis Samuel's fine at 5.2K, and definitely McLaurin definitely plays better here with Heineke versus whoever else was the quarterback in there before. But his target share has definitely went up with Heineke, so I think he's definitely interesting here under 6K. I'm looking at the Washington defense. So as a tournament defense at 2.4K, I'm going to have they're going to be in the player pool for me this week. Just with the way the total and the spread is going in this game, I kind of like the Washington defense. And I don't think I'm going to get to either of the running backs here, Gibson or Brian Robinson. I haven't played Dalvin Cook all year, so that's going to be an easy fade for me in this week as well. Yeah. But I'm kind of off of this game as the most. I kind of like some other games this week more.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I haven't really been on the Dalvin Cook train either. He's been better recently, but he's just expensive, right? There always seems to be cheaper options that are similarly owned and maybe have a little bit more juice than he has left. So I always prefer the Jefferson side of that Jefferson-Cook equation, and that's going to be the case for me this week as well. Let's go on to the next game. Highest total on the slate, I believe, 49.5 are tied for the highest between the Falcons and the Chargers. Falcons are playing decent football. They will get Cordero Patterson back for this game, so a little bit healthier Atlanta backfield. That backfield was already kind of tough to figure out, and now you add Patterson back into the equation. We'll see how involved he is, but kind of takes, honestly, Snyder, Patterson being back kind of just it helps the offense and maybe Mariota, but it kind of, these skill position guys were kind of tough to play anyway, right? I mean, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, very hit and miss. The running backs hit and miss. Now you add Patterson to the equation, who is a very big red zone threat. I don't think I can really go to any skill position guy, comfortably on Atlanta. I do think Mariota himself, you just play him naked, right? You're kind of hoping for the rushing touchdowns there. He's still cheap. I think he's interesting in this game. And then the Chargers side, it's been a little bit of a rough ride for Justin Fields recently. Just a really, really banged up receiver core for the Chargers. Keenan Allen's obviously been out most of the year. And now Mike Williams, of course, is out. They lost one of their tight ends and Donald Parham. They lost one of their receivers earlier in Jalen Guyton. So they're down to really Josh Palmer, who's going to get back from concussion this week. He's going to be their wide receiver one. Well, unless you count Austin Eckler as a wide receiver one, because the dude is just getting peppered with targets. I don't really see how that changes, to be honest. So, yeah, Eckler, he's expensive, and there's a lot of good, cheaper running backs on this slate. But, man, you can't ignore Austin Eckler, right? I do think he is the highest projected running back. He's going to be highly owned too, but he is someone I want to get to. I like Palmer. And then, we talked about tight end being weak this week. Gerald Everett, I think, is in line. One of the few tight ends who could have a big game, right? He could catch 7 passes for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. There's not very many tight ends this week that could do that. So I do want to prioritize those guys myself. So, yeah, it's hard not to like who's left on the Chargers team. That's really Eckler, Josh Palmer, and Gerald Everett are the three I'm looking at. And it's not like the Chargers are slowing down throwing the ball. I mean, 57 and 51 pass attempts for Justin Herbert the last 2 weeks. So, I do like the Chargers side. And then Atlanta side, I can't really get to much, but I do like Mariota quite a bit. Your thoughts, Snyder?
Yeah, I definitely have quite a bit of interested in this game. Quite a bit of conviction here on the Chargers. I definitely like attacking this Falcons defense here. And we've got Herbert coming in at like 5% owned. Sign me up for some of that. I'm definitely going to be overweight on Justin Herbert this week. Yeah. I think you can go Herbert and Eckler to kind of get a little different there, as many people are just going to play Eckler this week. The price is up there this week, so it's kind of tougher to fit him in without any like great value this week. But for tournaments, I like going to like the DeAndre Carter too. He'll be like under 5% owned. Everett will be under 5%. I think those are fine options there. And then looking at Cordell Patterson coming back this week, 5.8K. That's a fair price tag for him. And this Chargers rush defense has just been getting gashed over the last 5 weeks. For the last 5 weeks, they've given up 30-plus points to the RB position. And Patterson's got some burn. I think he's an interesting guy here. I think he'll probably be like 1 to 3% owned. So definitely going to be on some Patterson this week. Looking at some other stuff, Joshua Palmer, he's probably going to be like a cash gaming guy. I think he'll probably be like 20% owned. So interesting there. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to him in tournaments yet or not. I'm not going to play. I mean, you can look at Drake London and Kyle Pitts. It's just like Kyle Pitts finally kind of got there last week. The price tag's at 4,500. Only caught 5 of his 9 targets last week, but he did get in the box for us there. 80 yards. That was clearly his best game in quite a while. So I'll probably try and stack this game up quite a few different ways. So I'm going to have a lot of exposure to this game, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's go to you, Lox, your thoughts here, Chargers and Falcons.
Yeah, definitely an interesting spot for sure. I was laughing in the chat because I think you accidentally said Justin Fields.
So I was looking at something else too at the same time. I was looking at the
ownerships.
Looking at QB ownership.
We still got the second half of the show.
Then we got one guy asking if I'm passed out. No, definitely not passed out. I was just checking my NBA. My bad. Yeah, like this game for sure. This could be a very, very high scoring game. I was kind of hoping Patterson was out because I had a great lineup built with Algier, but with Patterson back, that kind of throws a wrench in things. I do like him. I don't think he's going to be very highly owned this week just because I think there's a lot of other backs around him that people are going to. So I wouldn't mind getting to him at low ownership because I think he's going to have a solid game. Like Snyder said, their Chargers rush defense has been getting gashed. So I love Cordell Patterson this week. That's pretty much the only guy I really like on that side. I don't mind Pitts. He had a good game last week. I think that's like 2 of the last 3 weeks he's scored now. So maybe he's coming alive. I don't know. He's got incredible athletic ability. So I could see that guy coming through again, scoring a touchdown this week. On the other side, I love this offense. Herbert, Eckler, Palmer, Carter, this whole offense, really, I think they get it going this week against the Falcons. This is definitely a get-right spot for them. So I'm on all these guys. I love the Carter shout-out at 4-3, but I think Palmer is going to be the big one here. I think he had like 10 targets or something the other week before he got hurt, 12 targets. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, if you just look at what Justin Herbert's doing, like throwing it 50 times, who are those targets? Got to go to somebody.
And 48 of them are going to Eckler.
Yeah, I mean, what's Eckler going to get? Like 10, 15 targets?
I think he's had 28 targets over the last 2 weeks.
I mean, he'll get another 10 to 15 again for sure.
You can barely fail if you get 15 targets as a running back because most of those are going to get caught. They're high percentage targets. Palmer, I mean, 5,100 for a guy that's probably getting 10 plus. Everett, like, I'm not going to put all 3 in one lineup with Justin Herbert, but you could. And
it's absolutely an offense.
Way to get different, I think.
Yeah, you could play this offense a million different ways. There's so many ways.
You're marching up and down the field, you might be collecting, 2-3 fantasy points every single play if you got those guys and they're hauling in passes and they get the job done. So it's very interesting to stack up Herbert with the weapons that he has left and hope that the Falcons can keep pace. It's a great matchup, I think, on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, I really, really do love this game. Yeah, obviously the Chargers side is better, but I do like Mariota running it back as well. You could you could get different with like a Mariota, yeah, and then like Eckler and Josh Palmer, right? Like Mariota naked and those two guys, just things that people that are building out scripts maybe aren't necessarily going to. So a couple ways to maybe get different for Millie Maker builds there. Let's go to the next game on the slate, Miami and the Chicago Bears. We've obviously seen this Miami offense just take off. They have had a lot of good matchups, obviously, in Detroit last week. What they get down 14-0 early, and you just knew Tua was going to go nuclear. He certainly did with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I don't know. I could see him coming back to earth this game. I'm a little bit worried, Locks. Not worried, but I just don't see maybe the same type of performance for Tua and these receivers going into Chicago. It's supposed to be, I think, 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, which could hurt that downfield passing game. I think that hurts Waddle more than it hurts Tyreek Hill, who catches just a lot of short stuff underneath. So I'm Tyreek over Waddle this week. I think, that's the kind of the take most weeks, but I think it's especially true for me here. And then on the other side, we talked about it last week. I didn't end up playing him too much these last couple of weeks, but Justin Fields in back-to-back games in New England and in Dallas, that's two tough games going on the road against two pretty good defenses. Put up 24 and 26 DraftKings points, averaging over 10 yards a carry over the last 3 games. They're finally letting him throw the ball. And I don't know how involved Chase Claypool, who they traded for at the trade deadline, will be in this game. But the fact, Locks, that they traded for him in the first place, gave up a second-round pick to get him, kind of says to me that the team is starting to have some more faith in Justin Fields to open up the offense a little bit. This is a fantastic matchup against a bad Miami defense in at least a potential shootout. Obviously, I have a little bit of concern, but a 46.5 total here. Justin Fields, it's not a comfortable play perhaps, but he's 5,300, probably going to get 10 rushing attempts in a game. Miami's been in some shootouts, a lot of shootouts. So if that happens, you could see Justin Fields getting it done. I like him quite a bit this week. Your thoughts on Fields, any Chicago skill pieces you might play, and then obviously Tua and that Miami offense with the most condensed target tree like we've ever seen, it seems like, with Tua and Waddle. It's like Tyreek and Waddle, every pass goes their way. So really interesting game here. Interested to hear your thoughts, Locks.
Yeah, this one absolutely is interesting. I think I'm going to go a little bit opposite of what everybody normally goes on this game, to be honest with you, with the Dolphins, is everybody's going to their passing game. SNYDER and I were actually talking about this before the show, is Raheem Mostert is in a great spot this week. Chicago's run defense is absolutely horrible. So I think I'm going to have a lot of Mostert, to be honest with you. I'm going to be kind of off this passing offense a little bit just because of the wind. I'm in Wisconsin, so I'm kind of near Chicago. So, yeah, the weather ain't great here. It's going to be windy tomorrow. I think this kind of is a run game for them. I'm still going to have Tyreek because, like you said, he gets those short passes and he can break one off at any point. So I'm basically going to have Mostert, Tyreek Hill. I'll throw in a little bit of Waddle in my 150s. I'll be kind of off Tua this week. And then on the other side, I like the Fields call. I actually wouldn't mind playing Fields naked this week, to be honest with you. Yeah. There's not really a pass catcher I like at all. I mean, Komet's not really good. Chase Claypool is interesting, but we haven't seen him with the offense yet. So it's too hard to pay for him here. So if I'm playing Fields, I'm probably going to run him by himself. I mean, it's 5'3", allows you to get to a lot of other places. So that's really my thought on this game. I think it's going to come definitely under the 45.5 in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be under, and I'm going to go with Mostert and maybe Fields on his own in some of my lineups. But that's pretty much my thought on this game.
Yeah, I think this is one where you want to monitor that total tomorrow morning, because if it does drop, right, that's the best way to kind of see if the wins are really going to affect the game. Is just monitor the total. If it's dropping, you know that perhaps the passing games could be in a little bit of trouble. SNYDER, your thoughts here, Miami and Chicago.
Yeah, this is a game that my favorite play in the whole slate is on. Like Locks said, we talked about it earlier. I really like Raheem Mostert here as a flop leg candidate here. He was pretty highly owned last week, like around 20%, kind of busted for a lot of people, but comes in with a great matchup here against the Bears. I think the Bears have given up like 20 or 25 points to the position in every game this week, and came in. I think Pollard scored like 43 points on him last week. So definitely in on some Mostert here at 5% owned, maybe less than that. Everybody's going to be going to like Tyreek Hill, who's going to be at like 20% owned. I do think Jalen Waddle comes in at maybe 20% of the ownership of Tyreek Hill, probably like right around 5% or something. So he's interesting for tournaments, but I think I'm going to be off of the pass game, like Locke said, in this game, and then just jam Mostert. Maybe the Miami defense some too. I know they're priced up too much, but I think they're cheaper on FanDuel, so I'd look at them on FanDuel. And then I'm going to have some Justin Fields. I'm currently considering playing Fields in cash tomorrow as well. I think he's got a pretty good floor here. The last 2 games he's been real solid, and the Miami defense has been susceptible sometimes this year, so definitely going to be on Justin Fields. I don't think I'm going to pair him with anybody, so just Fields and Mostert are my 2 favorite plays this week, and then like the Dolphins defense over on FanDuel, I think.
Yeah, makes sense there. Really interesting game here between Chicago and Miami. I think you'll see people go, take some big stands, go a lot of different ways. And you're going to see some of those Tua, Tyreek, Waddle stacks that I was kicking myself for not having more of those last week when it seemed so obvious it was going to go off. And then it's like the first quarter, you're like, okay, yeah, this is going to happen once again. Well, I don't think it's going to happen this week, but we shall see. That is through 5 games, through the halfway point of the show. So let's pick a couple of winners for the tickets. We'll give away a $150 ticket. We've got 3 to give away. We'll give away 1 now and one $50 ticket. We'll go to the live show chat, people participating, and we're going to give them to a couple people roasting SNYDER. That's always a good way to win a ticket that I'm choosing from. So we'll give one $50 ticket to DFS Dom, who posted a GIF from one of the greatest movies of all time, Beer Fest. The great Barry Badgernest says, "I'm better when I'm drunk," talking about SNYDER, mispronouncing names. $50 ticket for DFS Dom. We know you're not drunk, but it was still funny, and I love the GIF.
To see it.
And then we'll give a $150 ticket to the one of one who pointed out the Ramador Stevenson mispronunciation. Got me a good laugh there. So one of one, you've got the $150 ticket. DM Nadesify in the Discord. He will hook you up with that. And DFS Dom, I think you could DM Stephen Coy, who's in there right now. If not, I'll help facilitate that. But you've got the $50 ticket. Still have one more $50 ticket to give away to a member, a $150 ticket to a member, and a $150 ticket to a YouTube chatter. I'm monitoring that. I got a list here of candidates, so keep it coming. A lot of funny stuff in the chat. All right, congrats to the winners. We'll keep it moving. Carolina and Cincinnati coming up next. Bengals coming off that absolute drubbing by the Cleveland Browns. Good bounce back spot here, 7.5 point home favorites, 42.5 total. Carolina coming off that crazy game, the bomb to DJ Moore, the helmet removal. They're losing overtime after missing a couple long kicks. But yeah, PJ Walker going on the road. He'll be with Donta Foreman in the backfield coming off an absolute beast of a game. 3 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard back out of the lineup, SNYDER. So it should be the Donta Foreman show once again, especially if Carolina can somehow, get in the lead and control this game. Cincinnati, they've got the usual suspects, minus, of course, Jamar Chase, who, I don't know, does his absence tank this offense? Maybe. I mean, he's one of the most dynamic receivers in the NFL. So a lot to talk about in this game, too. SNYDER, I'll throw it to you first. Carolina, Cincinnati, what do you see?
Yeah, I'm going to go right back to Foreman. I was overweight on him last week, so I don't mind going right back to him. And the Browns just gashed these guys last week on the ground, scoring 41 points with the RB position last week. So I'm going to go right back to Foreman here for the Panthers. I think I'm going to go right back to our guy Marshall. Some people talked about him on the shows last week. 9 targets last week. He didn't do as much with them. Still scored almost 13 points, which is fine for the price tag there. Still under 4K, so I'm going to have some Marshall as a value play as we're searching for value on this slate. So he's one of the guys I'm going to play for value. And I definitely like the bounce back here for Joey B here. I think the price tag is great here. 6.6K is a great price tag for him. You can stack him up with Higgins or Boyd. I think I prefer Boyd a little bit just for the price savings there. And then I think Hayden Hurst is definitely right in play with the the way the tight end position is setting up this week. So I'm going to be on some Hayden Hurst at only 3.6K. I mean, I think that's a great price tag for him. He's caught at least 4 passes in 3 of the last 4 games. So I think Hayden Hurst is definitely a great target this week at the tight end position. And I think Carolina defense is going to be kind of the chalkier defense, only 2.3K going up against the Bengals. The Bengals can make some turnovers here. I think Carolina is going to be like the chalk cash play, but I think I'll probably X them in tournaments. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go to you, Locks. What do you see, Carolina, Cincinnati?
Yeah, this one's interesting for me. The Bengals offense just looks horrible without Chase. So I don't know how I'm going to play this one. I actually have been kind of liking the Panthers D at $2,300. I mean, with how bad the Bengals offense looked last week without Chase in there, I don't know. That interests me. $2,300 defense allows me to get to a lot of other spots, so I wouldn't mind that play. With that being said, I mean, I'm playing 150, so I'm not saying I'm fully getting off the Bengals. I mean, they can be too good. They can bust a slate for you even without Chase. So I'll be sprinkling on a little bit of Burrow, Higgins, Boyd. I'll have some Hayden Hurst in my pool at 3.6. But other than that, I don't really see much here. The guy I'm most interested in on this team would be Joe Mixon. I think if anybody has a good game, I think it's going to be him. He'll catch passes out of the backfield too. On that side, on the other side, I'll be going right back to Foreman as well. I had him in my core last week. I just think he's going to just ground and pound and he'll rush for over 100 yards. He'll have another touchdown. So I think he's a great play. DJ Moore is interesting, and then I do like Terrace Marshall as well at 3.9. 9 targets last week. Yeah, he only caught 4. He had 87 yards. So I like that production, and at $3,900, why not? So I'll be definitely playing him. As far as this game goes, I could see this one being another one that's under that 42.5, but there is some pieces here and some value you can find. Just it's how you want to play it.
Yeah, my one worry with Foreman, I was on him big last week too. Like you can't tell from the game log, but they did work in who was it? The third string running back,
Spencer Brown.
Yeah,
Spencer
like
Brown.
30% of the snaps, and Foreman only got. Did he even get a catch? I know he got like 1 target.
He hasn't been used that much in the passing game now.
Yeah, I just don't think he doesn't profile as a passing down back. So I'm a little worried Cincinnati gets out to a big early lead and Foreman gets phased out of the game a little bit. But if that, I kind of think he's a little bit of a boom or bust play where if it goes Carolina's way or it stays close, I do think they're going to ride Foreman. He looks really good too. If you look at some of the advanced metrics, he looks awesome. I think he looks just the eye test looks great on the field, but I'm a little concerned about a potential game script going against him. But I will have certainly plenty of exposure to Donta Foreman myself. We'll keep it moving. Green Bay and Detroit is next. This one also tied for the highest total on the slate, sitting around 49.5. It's been ugly for the Packers Locks, as I'm sure you are very much aware. But hey, pretty good get right spot here going into Detroit, who has given it up to just about every team as a defense. It's been really ugly for those Lions defensively. So yeah, pretty good spot here for Aaron Rodgers. I think he'll get Alan Lazard back in this game, I believe. Obviously, we've got Romeo Doubs, who had the fantastic touchdown catch in that last game that they lost. The Lions, they're a team that, obviously traded TJ Hawkinson. They're still without DJ Chark. They're without Josh Reynolds in this game. They're without their rookie Jamison Williams. Traded Hawkinson. DeAndre Swift seems like he is, I wouldn't say he's in the doghouse, but it seems like coaches just don't trust his health, don't really trust him. What did he get, like 5-6 touches last week? Seems like it's going to be mostly Jamal Williams in this one to me. We'll see on that. And then, of course, I mean, Locks, what a spot for Amon-Ra St. Brown with all the guys out in a potential shootout, should be behind in the Dome in Detroit. We talked about Eckler getting, it seems like, locked in at 10-plus targets. Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of seems like that as well. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, he had the concussion. Last week, caught some passes but didn't have a huge game. I don't know if he's not going to go overlooked this week, but this seems like a great spot, especially in PPR for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, yeah, Green Bay, Detroit, talk about it. A lot of plays in this one.
Yeah, there's a ton of plays here, and like you said, yeah, it's been a rough year for my Packers, but it is what it is. You know, I've been pretty fortunate my whole life with the Packers, so I can't be too mad about it. I know what it feels like to be a Bears fan now, I guess. But definitely a lot of pieces. A lot of people are on Rodgers this week. I don't know. He's looked so bad, and this offense has looked so bad that if I'm seeing him at 15% owned, I'm just not going to get there. I know he's cheap, but there's other plays that I'll get to around him that I just don't see it. I don't see it for him. The only two guys I really see in this game for them would be Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan. That's really the only two pieces I see on the Green Bay side. Yeah, Detroit's defense has been terrible, but I don't know. I could be wrong, and Rodgers could shut me up and finally play.
I'm with you, man. I'm not going to Aaron Rodgers.
Which I hope he does, and I hope he does prove me wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be the Aaron Jones show, I think. I think he's going to run all over him. He's going to catch all the passes. I think he's just going to have a great game. I'm going to be off of the Rodgers train this week. I might sprinkle in a little Lazard and Dobbs in my lineups just because if he does get hot, then those are going to be the two guys that he throws to. But Tanyan's a great play, too, at 3,800 at tight end. On the other side of things, Lions got a lot of good pieces, too. I mean, I might be a little bit more interested in Goff than Rodgers, to be honest with you, this week. I mean, I love the Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to catch 10 to 15 passes. He's going to probably score a touchdown, hit over 100 yards. So I'm going to be high on him this week. I do like Brock Wright, maybe. There's a value play at $2,500 at a tight end. He's a starting tight end. Hawkinson's gone. He caught 4 balls, 4 out of 4 targets 2 weeks ago. Caught 1 last week, but now Hawkinson's out of the picture, and I don't really like any of these cheap wide receivers for him, so why not play a 2-5 tight end and go from there? Opens up a lot of other spots for me, so I think I'm definitely going to have a little bit of Brock Wright in there, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know you touched on Swift. I don't really think he's in the doghouse. I think they're just kind of easing him back a little bit. He was injured there for a while, so I don't know. This backfield's tough because Jamal Williams freaking vultures every touchdown, so it's too hard to play either one of them, I think. If you are going to play one, I'd lean Jamal Williams this week just because we got the revenge game narrative. He's stealing all the touchdowns. I think after he scored last week, he was tied for the most touchdowns in the league at running back. So I
don't think you can play DeAndre Swift this week. I just don't think the workload is going to be there. Personally.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I'd be off of him. But if you're choosing between the two, it's a pretty clear cut. Choose the $5,900 Jamal Williams. So, I mean, the two guys I mentioned on that side, Jamal Williams maybe, and then Aaron Jones and Tonyan on the other side. I'm not as high on this game as a lot of people are, just some pieces from it.
Makes sense. Yeah. Aaron Jones, Snyder is the guy I really want to play here. I'm a little worried about I just wish A.J. Dillon wasn't there. I just feel, you're going to get vultured at the goal line. But Aaron Jones just looks fantastic. He looked awesome last week. The matchup is so good. Packers obviously need a win here. Seems like they would lean Aaron Jones is clearly their best weapon right now. You would think they would utilize him in what is truly a great matchup. So I'll be riding the Aaron Jones train. I'm hoping the higher price tag and him having a legit backup will maybe keep him a little bit lower owned. Your thoughts here on this game, Snyder?
Yeah, I'm definitely there with you on the Aaron Jones call there. He's got some good props heading into this too, 100.5 yards, and then his 4.5 receptions mark is what his props are sitting at right now. So I think those are absolutely great for him right there. I think Jones is kind of taking a leg up on it used to be like a split backfield, I thought. I think it's more like a 70-30 in favor of Jones more so now. So I think I'm not worried that much about it. So definitely going to be in there with Jones. And then for the quarterbacks in this game, we got Rodgers, first time ever, probably under 6K, but he's going to be like right around 10% owned. I think I would rather just save the 400 and go to Goff right there at like 2% owned. So I think I'm going to be more so on the Goff side than the Rodgers side, but I like the Aaron Jones there. And then Robert Tonyan for the Packers is fine there too. I think he's going to be one of the more maybe chalkier, cheap tight ends under 4K because the tight end position is like a wasteland this week, but I think he's fine. And you got Brock Wright and James Mitchell both at the still min 2.5K there for Detroit. I think they're fine. I'm not sure. I'm going to dig into that a little more. I think it's going to be Brock Wright, but I want to kind of look into that a little bit more. And then we got the Sun God there, 6.6K, just a great price tag for him. He's got great props this week. He's sitting at 6.5 receptions and it's juiced heavily towards the over. So
I'll take the over on that one.
Yeah,
Any day.
I think you got to pay like -150 on the over 6.5, which is pretty high. Khalif Raymond's fine. I think he's going to be one of the more popular cheap options there. But Tom Kennedy's 3K. I think he's interesting for large field tournaments. He had a game in the preseason where he caught 8 passes for 104 yards. I think he's going to be like 1%. That's like your Millie Maker type play to kind of get different with this stack. But I think there's definitely a lot of options here. Romeo Dobbs is fine there at 5.3, and then Allen Lazard, if he plays at 6K, I think is just fine too. So lots of options here in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good game. Green Bay and Detroit should be a fun one there. I'll be hoping personally for the Aaron Jones and Amon-Ra show between those two teams. We'll go to the next game on the slate. Another pretty good one. The Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders, 48 total. The Raiders actually 2.5 point favorites going on the road to Jacksonville, which is a little surprising to me, to be honest. I think I might be on the Jaguar side of that, despite SNYDER, the struggles of Trevor Lawrence, who just, man, he just doesn't look good. Makes really bad decisions in critical points. Should have beat Denver, I thought, last week, but couldn't get the job done. Despite, the absolute emergence of Travis Etienne Jr., who SNYDER, he looks awesome out there. He absolutely gashed the Broncos. Seemed like he was getting 6-7+ yards every single carry. Obviously, they traded James Robinson, so it will be the Travis Etienne show. Man, he's shown he can handle the workload. 24 carries in that game against the Broncos. Gets the Raiders at home here, involved in the passing game. I personally think SNYDER Etienne should be the highest owned back on this slate at 6,300. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups. I think he's going to crush here. Good running back on the other side, of course, Josh Jacobs, who did finally come back to earth, crashing back to earth as the Raiders got shut out. 10 carries for just 43 yards. But good matchup here against Jacksonville. We could see 2 big games from running backs. You got Devontae Adams, of course, on the other side for Las Vegas. So pretty good game here. But yeah, Travis Etienne, the guy I'm really focused in on SNYDER.
Yeah, definitely right there with you, Travis Etienne. I think he's got the best props per DK price on the whole entire slate. 105.5 yards is his prop. I think he's going to be probably maybe 30% owned, maybe more, but I think that's just fine. I'm definitely going to be eating the chalk here on Travis Etienne here. Great spot. Home matchup against not so good defense here, so definitely in on Etienne. I kind of like Zay Jones for tournaments, 4.1K. I don't think he's going to be that highly owned. Christian Kirk's fine too at 5.5K. Maybe I could even get to some like Josh or Trevor Lawrence stacks here with those 2 receivers and some ETN. From the Raiders side, I know Locks was off Josh Jacobs last year. I think we were all kind of off of Josh Jacobs last week. I didn't really play too much of him. 7.3, he's kind of in a bounce back spot. Not sure if I'm going to get back to him or not. This Raiders team has just not looked good this year. Devontae Adams was the guy I was a little bit on in tournaments last week. Completely laid a dud again. Only 1 point for Devontae Adams last week, so that was hurtful. I'm not sure I can get back to him this week at that price tag. I would rather just go to some other guys. The tight end position is interesting here. We still got Darren Waller questionable. If he's out, I think Foster Moreau is a great option there at 3.2K as well. So maybe I could get back to my Jacksonville defense here at 3.1K. I was on that Jags defense a lot to start the year. Haven't really played them the last couple of weeks, but I think maybe I'll get back on them here this week.
Yeah, makes sense. Adams, I think he might have been. Was he sick last week? I think
he had the flu.
Yeah, he's like 100% snap share guy. He played like 66%. Maybe part of that was a blowout. I'm not 100% sure on that, but potentially a bounce back here spot for Adams here. Yeah. Lex, I see you flashing around your sports gear. Talk about Etienne, Adams, and anyone else in this game, Lex.
I was doing that for my boy Richie Smalls, asking if it's a Power Red RPS sweatshirt.
Yeah. Well, all
right. So this game, gotta love the chat. This game is interesting. I don't know which way I want to play this game yet. I think it's going to be high scoring. Both defenses kind of suck. So I could see a definite bounce back spot for both of these QBs. I do like Jacobs this week. I know I was off him last week. I'm glad I made that call last week. We were all three, like Snyder said, on that. I do think it's a bounce back for him against this Jacksonville defense. So I'll definitely be on Jacobs this week. I'll definitely be on Adams. He's too good to have a couple down weeks in a row. So I think he bounces back as well. I think the entire Raiders offense bounces back. So I'll be playing Adams. I'll be playing Jacobs. I don't think I'm going to play Carr, though. So I'm not going to be on this entire offense. I don't like Hollins. Renfro hasn't showed me anything this year. So I'll be off of them for the most part. Is Waller back? Have you guys seen?
I think
He's questionable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he's back, maybe I'll sprinkle in a little bit of him, but there's too many other value tight ends, so I don't even think I'll have him.
Yeah.
On the Raiders side, I like Jacobs a lot and Devontae Adams. The other side, ETN is hard not to love. I mean, the guy's just been an absolute stud. They got rid of James Robinson, so I don't know how you don't keep playing him. I don't play much cash, but I'm sure if you're playing cash, you're playing ETN. So I'll even be playing him in tournaments. You have to. The guy's just a stud. He's had 21 points, 28 points, or 22 points, 28 points last couple of weeks. So I think he just continues smashing there in this offense. Only other guys in this game I really like are Christian Kirk and Evan Engram. Maybe a little bit of Zay Jones. I mean, 4,100. So why not throw in a little bit of him? He had 3 targets, 10 targets 2 weeks ago. So I'll sprinkle in a little bit of him, but if I don't like the quarterbacks, I can't have too many of these guys. I just think there's a lot of value pieces that I'll get to. A lot of them will be in my lineups just because if I'm playing 150 and we're trying to win a milli, you got to have some of these value guys. So
yeah,
definitely in a high-scoring game, these are some pieces I'll be getting to.
I hear you. We got 2 more games to get to, just 2 afternoon games on the slate, which we're not going to dwell on it, but it's just ridiculous. I don't know why the NFL doesn't, spread out the slate a little bit more. But yeah, Seattle, Arizona, and Los Angeles, Tampa Bay, the only 2 afternoon games. We will give out the remaining tickets after this game, but we got to get the likes up on this show. A lot of you guys hanging out with us on Saturday night. Please hit the like button. Let's get it up. Otherwise, I won't keep the 150 ticket from Nadesify for the YouTube chatters, but maybe we'll keep it for next week, or we'll give it to a member or something like that. So hit the like button if you're watching the show on Saturday night, hanging out with us. Free show, please hit the like button, help us out. We've, of course, got all the content coming up free tomorrow, so hit the subscribe. Don't miss any of the content we've got here on Run Pure Sports. 2 more games to get to. Tickets coming up after this one. Let's break down Seattle and Arizona first. Seattle defense has been coming on a little bit strong, but still 2-point underdogs going into Arizona. Pretty high total here, 49 points expected locks. Arizona 2-point favorites. We've seen Ken Walker III. It's like untackleable out there at times. It seems like that last touchdown he got was absolutely insane. He's an interesting play, getting most of the work, obviously, for Seattle. James Conner questionable, and then for Arizona, we've seen DeAndre Hopkins come back, and man, he has looked fantastic. 14 and 13 targets in those 2 games, 10 and 12 catches. Touchdown, that one-handed grab against Minnesota was absolutely insane. So he's got to be in play at 7,900 against Seattle. Your thoughts here, Arizona and the Seahawks?
Yeah, anytime. I mean, this year I see these 2 teams, and I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to it. If I'm not stacking it, I'm going to have a lot of pieces from this game. I think it's a high-scoring game. I like Geno. I like Kyler. They'll both be in my pool. So when I like the quarterbacks, I'm going to have a lot of their pieces as well. On the Seattle side, like you said, Kenneth Walker's he's been a beast. So I'm going to have him. I'm going to have a lot of him probably. He's going to be high owned, probably 25% is my guess, roughly somewhere around there. But I'm okay with that. I mean, he's shown us he can be a stud. He has been a stud for a couple weeks, and so I'll be on him. Geno Smith, if I'm playing him, obviously I'm going to have Metcalf and Lockett. I never like playing the 2 together. You can, but I just think there's too many other pieces on this slate to do that. So I'll probably max one of them, to be honest with you, if I'm playing Geno. I don't like the tight ends. I know everybody talks about Will Dissly. There's another one for you, Richie Smalls. I messed up the name again. But I won't be on the tight ends in this game. On that side, it's Geno, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. On the other side, I love Murray against Seattle. Seattle's defense has been good, but I think Seattle's defense is better at home.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like Kyler with DeAndre Hopkins a lot this week for some reason. Just Hopkins has been a machine since he got back. So I don't know how you get away from that. And then Rondale Moore actually caught seven targets or 8 targets, caught 7 balls for 92 yards, a touchdown last week. So he's interesting at 5-2. And then Zach Ertz just continues to be a red zone threat. He still gets his targets no matter what. So I like this offense. I could see Arizona going a little under-owned and scoring a lot of points. So I like them this week. I'm going to be on them a lot. And then the other guy that's interesting is James Conner. I mean, it's $5,800. Probably coming in at 2% owned. If he plays, I'll probably jam him in a little bit. It just depends on if he plays or not. So
yeah, game time decision there. You'll have to have some plans, obviously, with Conner.
Yeah. So if you got injuries, and we talk about this on NBA, we talk about it everywhere. If you're playing this kind of stuff, just make sure they're in your flex. If you're waiting on injury news, anything like that, just make sure it's in your flex.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I got to say about that.
Yeah, if you need a pivot, if your team's struggling or you need or maybe even going off and you need a pivot to get to the top, if Conner plays, you can make that direct pivot perhaps from Walker to James Conner, right? Where you're going to go from like 20% ownership down to 2% ownership if you wanted to make that pivot late. SNYDER, Seattle, Arizona, talk about it.
Yeah, these two teams played just a few weeks ago, and it was one of the biggest busts of the slate on that typical day. It was a 9-19, but that was before DeAndre Hopkins returned, and I think this Arizona offense has definitely taken another step forward since the return of Hopkins, so definitely going to be on this game. I think the Seahawks side is going to be higher owned in this game. I'm seeing like 4 of those guys in like the 15 to 20% ownership range. You got Walker, you got Lockett, you got Metcalf. And then I think Geno Smith's even going to see a little bit of ownership, maybe only like 10% or so. But I think he's going to be one of the higher owned guys. He's going to be higher owned than Kyler. I'm seeing Kyler in like the 7% range or so. I think he's definitely fine for tournaments. I'm going to have some Kyler to Hopkins stacks. Since Hopkins has came back, it's kind of hurt Zach Ertz there. 5.1K. I think that's a little too much for Ertz for me personally. I don't think he's really got that ceiling to get like 20 points on this game. I mean, I think we could see him get his normal like 10 to 12, 13 points in this game, which I'm not sure if that's going to be enough with the 5.1 price tag when we got so many good value tight ends this week. So I'll probably be off of Ertz this week. Disley, Fant, those are guys are fine. I mean, they're cheapies, 3K, 2.9K. Kenneth Walker did well the first time these guys played. 4.6 yards per carry, got in the box. I think he scored like 20, 25 points, something like that. So I think he's fine here. James Conner's fine, 5.8. I'm not sure which one. I might just try and play one of Metcalf and Lockett. I don't think I want to play them together. I'm going to set a rule like max 1 on those 2 guys, but I think they're both definitely great for tournaments and such. So I think there's quite a bit of fancy goodness here in this game. So I'll be on this game for sure as a late hammer.
That guy needs one.
Yeah, absolutely. Lox, I see you laughing. If you're laughing at the same thing I did, that's a ticket, which we're going to give away now. So go ahead. Was it the Kyler Murray double XP?
No, that wasn't the one that I was laughing at. I mean, that was a good one too, actually. That was a very good one. So did you give away the other $50 single entry?
I'll give it away here. Yeah.
The other one I was laughing at was I ain't even gotten my bag yet, like Deion Jackson said.
Yeah, that is a good one. But we got to go. So we're going to give away the tickets here. We got 3 more to give away. First one we'll give away, $50 single entry goes to Nittany Jen. Been in chat all night long. Obviously, a great member of chat and member. The Kyler Murray Call of Duty stuff, I think, is hilarious. So we're going to give one to Nittany Jen, the $50 single entry. Reach out to Stephen Coy in the Discord for that. Congratulations. And then for the other 150 to the member from Nadesify, we got to go to Jerker19, longtime member, always in chat, yakking it up. Good stuff from Jerker19 all show. We will go to him for the 150 ticket. Reach out, of course, to Nadesify. Thanks again for that. And we will go to the YouTube chat to give away the other 150 ticket. Once again, of course, from Nadesify. And I've got circled here Dustin Hatch, who has been in the YouTube chat all show long, giving away good information. making some good jokes. So Dustin Hatch, I don't think you are a member. If you are, that's all right. Anyway, but you can DM at Nadesify on Twitter, and he will hook you up with that $150 power sweep ticket. So good luck to all the winners. Congratulations, guys. I always feel bad that we don't have more tickets to give away because a lot of good stuff in chat. It's been fire all show long. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't yet, please do hit that like button for us. We really do appreciate it. All right, let's get to the last game on the slate. Two of the most disappointing teams in the entire NFL, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, LA Rams. It is the Bucs who are 3-point home favorites here. Relatively low, 42.5 total. SNYDER, we'll start with you. Tom Brady and Matt Stafford been very disappointing this year. I really haven't played these guys whatsoever, so that's been just fine with me. And man, I'm not going to them here either, to be honest. I'm not jumping on the train yet. These guys seem like they're past it a little bit. I do like the weapons a little bit. I think Godwin, Evans, Kupp individually all look like pretty good plays. Fournette is fine, but I'm not going to have a ton of this game in general. I'm kind of expecting another ugly game between these two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be off of this game too, and I'm seeing Godwin's going to be like 20% on, maybe one of the more chalkier receivers. I mean, his target share, rightfully so, is right there. 36 targets over the last 3 weeks, but he's still yet to even put up 16 points on the season. So I think if he's going to be that highly owned, I'm just going to X him. I think Brady's washed. He's done. Big T's been all over that lately, so I'm going to be off of him. And I mean, Cooper Kupp, maybe I guess you could get to him. The price tag is up there, but definitely has the upside to break a slate anytime he's on it. He's still got the elite target share, just hasn't had one of those smash games recently. 22 points, 16 points the last 2 weeks. I think I'm going to be off of this game pretty much as a whole. Tyler Higbee, 3.7K. He's kind of rating out as an all right play, but I just don't think I can get there on him either if he's going to see ownership. Looking here, it looks like Tampa Bay's defense is going to be pretty highly owned too, so I might consider them too. I think it's the Tampa Bay and Carolina are the two the cash chalk defenses this week. Rightfully so with the way the Rams have been playing this year. So I don't think there's too much for me in this game though. It's going to be mostly an X for me this week.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm right with you there, SNYDER. Your thoughts here, locks on Tampa Bay and the Rams. Do we see a resurgence from Tom Brady? Now maybe, the divorce is finalized. Maybe his head is clear. He's good to go. What do you think?
I don't know. He's a guy that scares me. I mean, I could be saying, hey, screw this game, and then this game goes off for 60 points.
Wouldn't shock me. Like the two afternoon games everybody's watching. It's like it would be a fun game if you had a lot of pieces for it to go off. But I just can't.
Like I'm interested to play the afternoon two game slate, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Jam all the first game? So
Yeah.
I might just go all this game and then I'll win all the money. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. So this one's I don't know. I really don't know what to think about this one. I'll probably have at least a little bit of Evans and Godwin in my pools. I'm not playing Tom Brady. The guy looks old. He looks washed up. He probably should have stayed retired. Let's be honest. I can't get to him this year. He's looked awful. To be honest, Fournette, Evans, Godwin, that's pretty much it on this team. Maybe a little Kate Otten just at 3-1 because Brady does love his tight ends. We all know that. And at 3-1, he could easily catch 5 balls, 50 yards, and get in the end zone.
Yeah.
So, that's one guy that I would mention that interests me with some value at the tight end spot. On the other side, it's been the same all year. It's not going to change. Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, those are my two pieces on that team that'll be in my lineups, and that's pretty much a wrap on that one. I do have slight interest in the Rams D against Tom Brady, though. He has the ability to throw some pick sixes, so I could see that happening here too.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And that is all 10 games. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. We do appreciate it each and every week. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, allows us to bring you this show free of charge and all the stuff over at Run Pure Sports on the YouTube channel. Of course, we've got the usual crew in the morning, up to Lock Show with JSU and crew, taking you to week 9. Lock should be an awesome week of football, and hopefully see some RPS logos up near the top as we typically do. that'll do it for the Week 9 Millie Maker Show. For SNYDER, for Locks, I'm DC, and we'll check you next time.